This doesn't make sense. In the most recent mlbb international tournament, teams were so scared of facing Joy that she became the most banned hero. And if she wasn't banned, then she was most likely picked, putting her in terms of popularity with the likes of Mathilda, Guinevere, Ruby, and Novaria. But what makes Joy different from everybody else is that aside from the pros, nobody else really uses her. Based on rank statistics, Joy is only ever picked in 0.28% of all games, and her ban rate isn't anywhere near what it is in the pro scene. So it made me curious, what do pros see in this discount Pikachu that normal players like me don't? To answer this, I had the idea of playing Joy in a Mythical Glory ranked game to see for myself and find out what she's all about. When she first came into the scene, Joy initially gained popularity as an XP lane hero, but since then, updates and changes to her kit made her better suited for the jungle. As a disclaimer, I neither play Joy nor do I play jungle, but if there's really something special in Joy, then I should be able to win with her, right? And sure enough, I did. The first thing I noticed is that she's surprisingly fast at clearing camps. Her skills have decent base damage and have spammable cooldowns, making it easy to take down jungle creeps. Her innate mobility from her passive and second skill also enables her to quickly move from one jungle camp to the other. This results in faster jungle pathing and faster rotations. Some players even opt out of using Seasoned Hunter. Instead, they either use Weapon Master for more damage or Bargain Hunter for getting core items earlier. The choice between these two depends on what you want to achieve with Joy. Joy is a hero that wants to get a snowball rolling. With Bargain Hunter, you should theoretically hit your power spikes earlier than your opponents, make use of your advantage, and eventually run off with the game. This is especially true with pro teams, because they are experts in maximizing advantages and have the high-level teamwork needed to take full control of the game when they already have the lead. I also felt Joy's strength in early game skirmishes, especially if they drag on long enough for her skills to reset. She doesn't have ridiculously high damage and isn't the type of hero to one-shot enemies, or at least not in the early game. Instead, Joy goes in and out of teamfights, dealing bursts of damage that eventually leads to a favorable trade. Although assassins are defined for their high-risk, high-reward playstyle, Joy is one of the safest assassins in the game. She is highly mobile, gets some defense thanks to her passive, and has built-in crowd control immunity. She isn't particularly tanky per se, but she is hard to kill. And those two aren't the same thing. You see, experienced Joy players don't rely on sustain or defense to weave in and out of fights. Instead, they maximize Joy's high mobility to dodge skills and get away from the enemy's damage dealers. The downside to that is it gets increasingly harder to do the later the game goes. As enemies start to build more items and get more damage, the window of going in, dealing damage, and getting out gets shorter and shorter. And maybe this is why some players prefer Weapon Mastery. The increased burst damage means that they can kill heroes faster and wouldn't need to stay long in teamfights. They can just charge their ult using a jungle creep and nuke enemies down to the ground. But pro teams don't usually have a problem with using snowball heavy compositions. This is what separates them from the average ranked players. They have the skills and coordination to confidently know that once they control the flow of the match, victory is as good as guaranteed. However, in solo ranked, even if you're thousands of gold ahead of your enemy, there are still hundreds of uncontrollable factors that might lose you the game. You don't know when your teammates will suddenly start throwing or going AFK. That's just the nature of solo queue. Even if you build an early lead, could you confidently rely on your teammates to take care of the late game? I don't think so. Another factor may be because of Joy's relatively high skill ceiling. This makes her ideal for pros, but newbies trying to pick her up for the first time may be intimidated. To be fair, her kit is easy enough to understand and she was even made easier to use with the recent updates. However, what makes her tricky is the fact that her own mechanics heavily punish poor execution. Joy relies heavily on her second skill for mobility, damage, as a means to escape and to activate her ultimate. If you make the crucial mistake of missing her dash, then you'll essentially be a sitting duck incapable of doing anything. Because of this, you would need a certain level of mastery before you could make full use of her. And on that note, practicing her in rank may not be the best idea. But the more you play Joy, the better she becomes, and this perfectly explains why she is picked and banned more often as you move higher up in ranked. The more skilled players get, the more they're likely to recognize the true strength of Joy. This is also why in the highest levels of competitive play, where the most skilled players are capable of maximizing a hero to their full potential, Joy ranks among the highest in priority.